When people think of Toyota, a lot of them automatically assume the Supra because, well, it's just the Supra, and you gotta say it like that. But even before the Supra, Toyota was dabbling in making fun, exciting little sports cars that still got decent gas mileage for the average driver, the average Joe like you and me. Because guess what? We're people too. And even though the car is 40 years old now, what? Even though the car is really old, it still makes an absolute racket in the scene because for some reason these cars end up being built with like 650 horsepower and they're just like drag destroyers. It's just how the car do. I'm Alex at FI on Instagram, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the car that always slides underneath the radar. The car that, just like your high school crush, got a little weird and then fell off the deep end in the last bit of college. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the one and the only, the Toyota MR2. And of course, if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to check out fitmentindustries.com, where we have it all. From stuff for your like newly acquired MR2, because you're watching this now, which is pretty much every type of wheel coilover air suspension kit we have for that platform, or you're just looking to take a little peek skis. If you can spell it, we probably have it. And don't forget to hit that little subscribe button so we can keep making videos like this as well. Plus, if you guys are looking to get entered in to win a free build giveaway, wheels, tires, and suspension, check out fitmentindustries.com. We got a little bit more information. This is how I talk to my cat sometimes, and then he gets really worried because then he runs away from me.
So I have to talk to him like a normal adult.
The Toyota MR2 had some humble beginnings because Toyota was spending their time back in 1976 wondering how Nissan and Datsun were crushing the competition when it came to the German counterparts at the time. They wanted that too. They wanted to play sports ball like the rest of the kids, but it's Toyota, so they weren't just gonna put all their eggs in one basket with a sports car like the Supra or the Celica at the time. So to start it off, they went in to design a car that was just simply fun to drive, had good gas mileage, and wasn't inherently a sports car, but just something enjoyable to own. That was like the thing. Those were the boundaries that they had set. The limitations of the oil crisis was weighing down on auto manufacturers from doing pretty much anything fun, and ended up stalling the design work for the MR2 until 1979. Designer Akio Yoshida would finally have the chance to begin working on the car and ended up with a mid-transverse engine placement. Not a sports car, but it had a coupe-style body, but it wasn't a sports car. And they called it the SAX, and even with it not wanting to be a sports car, it had everything to be a sports car. Come on, you put the engine in the middle of your car and you don't expect it to be a sports car? It doesn't even make sense in 1978. Maybe it was just because of all there's some drugs going around back then, okay? Once they completed their initial testing, the car made its debut on the tracks to see if it was actually capable of handling itself. They had people like Dan Gurney, the racing man in Formula One at the time, that would take it through the tracks like Willow Springs to make sure it was actually up to snuff. And spoiler alert, it was. It was actually a pretty decent sports car that could make its way around the track pretty darn well. Even with the Toyota Celica Supra taking precedence in the Toyota lineup.
The fuel-injected engine, 4 horsepower. The independent suspension, the 4-wheel disc brakes.
The MR2 would be successful in its initial launch in 1983 as the SV3 concept. When it launched in 1984, it hit extremely well. The MR2 would be the first Japanese mid-engine car to hit the market, and that blew absolutely everyone away. The Japanese auto manufacturers have always been paramount in terms of pushing the envelope, and the MR2 was that at the time. Now, even with it not being called a sports car, it was, because the development of the MR2 was not really intended to be one, but it did it. It's kind of weird. They just wanted it to be a fun commuter, you know? They just wanted to have fun. Still don't believe that for a minute, but the MR2 had collaborations with Lotus at the time to gain performance and handling within the little 2-door coupe, okay? So just so you know, PS, Lotus did assist with the development of the suspension, but the car was actually designed by Toyota, so don't let those garage talks fool you. It's not as much as you actually think. In addition, the MR2 is its own hot tamale, not a ripoff of the Fiero, or Guy Fieri, if that's what you're up to. The two design teams actually found out about their competitor's platform by accident, pretty much at the same time. But you also have to remember that it was the 80s and everybody was going into the whole sports car, compact, not sports car market, so the more you know. The first generation was a hit. It came in some different models and didn't do half bad against the competition, because you have to remember that it was faster than the Fiat, it was lighter than the Fiero, and it did it all without too much fuss because it was still a Toyota. The car would become the car of the year for 1984 and 1985. Slap that on your LinkedIn profile, buddy, and send it, because it was Japanese best car, which put it ahead of the CRX and the Nissan Laurel.
The Toyota MR2. So exciting, it just won Motor Trend's Import Car of the Year. The fun is back.
One of the lovely trims was the supercharged model, which kicked it a nickel in pretty much every way possible. Fun, it had the scoot, it had stiffer springs, aluminum wheels. It wasn't too shabby, it was a little bit heavier, but it was still a little bit better. It was a good car, and it's a little bit rare now, but it got the job done. The car would enter into different kinds of motorsport, including the African Group B rallies and some European stuff as well. However, it didn't really get to anything. It's kind of like the kid that says he's always going back to college but never does, and it did okay, but by the time Toyota put all their ammo into the MR2 for those racing classes, the class was actually disbanded. Never really brought back again. Never really got into it. They made some cool concepts though, and if you can find one, you're rich. In 1989, Toyota introduced their second generation, and it made everything that was fantastic about the first generation and made it even better. It was sleek, sexy, and it was fancy. Kazutoshi Arima, the chief engineer, wanted to make it even more up market, or whatever you want to say. What do you want to call it? I'll call it just exotic. They wanted to make it neat and look like a Ferrari pretty much at the time, and they did a damn good job with it. In short, they really just took design cues from Ferrari, dubbed it practically the poor man's Ferrari, and launched it into the world with new Toyota development underneath the new style. Now, that doesn't mean that they copied Ferrari, because it was still a Toyota, and they did so good with their first generation, they just made it better. A lot of their styling cues came from that because it was just what you did back then. And with the improvements being made solely on their car and the personal feedback of more racers, it did really well. The MR2 would be introduced with two models for the USA, which was the base model, and the turbo. They had about 130 horsepower and 200 horsepower respectively. What the car did so well was be a sports car that was in its own category without really being dismissed as the lower tier option for a sports car. But it wasn't a sports car. The car even went up against cars like the Toyota Supra, the RX-7, and the GTR, and held its own in plenty of comparisons when you were looking at its actual function. In the racing world, it saw much more success through the second generation through the JGTC, and the world accepted the second generation MR2 as a proper sports car without all the negatives that came with most sports cars. In fact, Toyota did a fantastic job with the placement of the MR2 when you compare it to the Supras and things like that at the time. The third generation was a bit rough, but still has love out there for many people. Many people think that the third generation is the best handling MR2 out of the bout, but it didn't get much love because just look at the little softy. He's just kind of like, you know, he's a soft boy. But enough history, we're done, it's over, stop talking about it. We're here to help decide if the MR2 is the car for you. And that's a wrap, and I'm a rapper. After all, it is a Toyota, but it isn't the Supra. It shows similarity to the Fiero, and not many people are about that platform anymore. So why would you want it? So you want a Toyota MR2. Well, set down your hair gel there, bud, and put down the initial D, because we're gonna go into this mini, not sports car, and figure out if it's the one for you. Now, the MR2 is a fantastically good sports car, especially the first and second generation. They have an incredible platform that many people find themselves diving headfirst into. The first generation, even with it being a bit older, has quite the loyal following. A lot of people that have MR2s will tell everybody that they have MR2s because they're a fun car to own. Most enthusiasts end up restoring them, driving them, and just enjoying them for what they are. Although aftermarket modifications do exist, the first generation isn't really touted as the one to modify. Oh no. That is, how does the kids do it? Yeah, second generation. The second generation is where a lot of the community sits. Now, whether that's through engine swaps, turbos, superchargers, full motor builds, BC racing coilovers, NK or Avid One wheels, Michelin tires, and pretty much everything in between, the car is an absolute champ. Get all those at fitmentindustries.com, by the way. The second generation is like, how do I say this? It's like that one taco joint that you always go to that you're never disappointed with. The second generation MR2 has such a following that you can do some pretty insane stuff with them, including making them absolutely stupid fast. The two fastest cars from my little hometown in Eau Claire were both MR2s, and they're owned by brothers. The cars are stupid scary to be in as they run around town with way too much horsepower. The car out of the gate is reliable. Parts exist for it, and modifications continue to be bought and sold through third-party pages and main vendors pretty much all the time. I'm gonna be honest here, there's not much wrong with the second generation MR2. I prefer the facelift styles because it really just locks in the styling that I think Toyota was really trying to accomplish at the time. The third generation is a bit questionable because it didn't really hit the aftermarket world as hard as the previous two, and although it does have a racing background professionally, it never really hit the streets. Now, it could be due to the styling, the focus on the convertible aspect of the car, or that it was just a hair slower than its predecessor stock for stock. However, the car is no slouch as a weekend warrior and can put as many smiles on your face as turns you can find. The second generation is probably the one to get if you're looking to modify the car. First generation is a cool legacy car if you're looking to restore something and just own a piece of history. And the third generation is probably one you're gonna wanna wait until you maybe, I don't know, retire? It's just one of those things. It depends on the styling that you're looking for, but Toyota has always made fantastic sports cars, and regardless of the generation, they all have their pros, with really the only cons being the fact that they are a bit older, harder to find, and sometimes, depending on the body style that you're getting, can be a little bit prone to rust. Now, if you can get past all of that and you're okay with owning a small sports car that has literally no space, then the MR2 is for you, and you can make them so insanely fast that you may just find yourself wondering why you even built it as fast as you did. I love every single MR2 I find, and I wish more people added them to the gallery. So if you want to, or you have one, just head on over to fitmentindustries.com/add to add it so that I can see more, because we have like only 40 and it makes me sad. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about next in the comment section below, and if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to check out fitmentindustries.com. Don't forget to subscribe, and I think that's it. By the way, in case you guys are wondering, all right, we get asked this 9 million times, that's a KNP. Coste, KNP. That's what that one is, okay? That's a TSW, that's a clutch forged 3-piece, there's a concept over there. I think one of these is the Nürburgring Koenig Ampliform. You know, maybe we should just do the wheel wall quiz together. I think that'd be fun. Anyway, I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We will see you later. All right, goodbye, peace.